Last week, I spent an afternoon and less than $100 on 5 plants that will each grow taller than me. And I honestly think these were the most important plants I've ever added to this garden. I planted them on the south side of our house, an area that used to be a lawn. Ever since I killed the lawn, I've been focusing on the obvious stuff. I grow vegetables on one side and then fruit trees and flowers on the other. But the vegetable side is extremely high maintenance. If I don't plant vegetables every year, then nothing will grow except weeds. I want my yard to be a self-sustaining system, a system that's resilient in a hotter, drier world. Here in the Intermountain West, we've been in a mega drought for about 20 years. Higher temperatures are increasing evaporation, leaving us with dry soil. Landscape water restrictions are already happening and will probably get worse in the future. Without supplemental water, lawns and vegetable gardens will struggle. In a desert, having a lawn is more of a liability than an asset. Planting native trees and shrubs is a solution to this issue. For one, they use less water than a lawn, but also they cool the air and shade the earth, providing a safe haven for life, even in the heat of the summer. Not only that, they improve soil structure, drop free mulch, support birds and pollinators, and can even feed humans. Native trees are living infrastructure that everything else relies on. And I gotta emphasize, you have free will. You can go buy a little native tree, pick up a shovel, and plant it right in the middle of your lawn. It's genuinely one of the best investments you can make, in my opinion. And I can't believe I didn't realize this 3 years ago, which is why I'm telling you today. So let me show you everything I planted in one afternoon. Besides the 5 shrubs, I also planted some native grasses and milkweed. Each plant has a specific job in the system. So let me tell you about them. Our first plant is serviceberry. Serviceberry is a fruit-bearing tree in the rose family. It grows up to about 20 feet tall, and you can either grow it as a single stem or a multi-stem. I'm choosing to grow this one as a single stem, so I would probably call it a tree. But as far as I understand, the main difference between trees and shrubs is just how many stems they have and the size. So this could really be a tree or a shrub, depending on how you look at it. I got this thing for $25. So unfortunately, I couldn't find the exact native species, the Utah serviceberry. Honestly, natives can be pretty hard to find. A lot of nurseries aren't really stocking native plants. But even if you can't find the exact native species, any tree or shrub is going to bring benefits compared to not having it. So if possible, I recommend looking for the native, looking for maybe a specific native plant nursery, which I was able to find a couple of. It was actually pretty cool because the nurseries I went to were just being run out of people's backyards. It was just really passionate people who wanted to grow and sell plants. But in this case, I got the Allegheny serviceberry, which is native to the east. The good thing about this is that they're known to have really great tasting berries. Serviceberries are edible for humans and birds. My plan is to let this thing grow as tall as it wants. That way, me and the birds can share the berries. I'll take the berries down low, and they can eat everything that I can't reach. Next up, I'm planting 3 elderberries. I'm measuring the distance between them because these things get absolutely huge. I'm planting them at least 10 feet apart. If I had one word to describe elderberry, it would be biomass, because these things just make an insane amount of green matter. Here's a couple pictures of me in California when I was harvesting some elderberries. These plants can grow up to 20 feet tall and wide, which is absolutely crazy. The great thing about having 3 of these is they'll provide me a really nice privacy and windscreen, which is something I really need in the garden. And besides that, they'll also cast a dense shade on other areas of the garden. The reason I'm planting 3 is because it's kind of an aesthetic rule in landscaping. Planting things in groups of 3 or 5 just tends to make them look good. Something about triangles, I guess. But anyways, the exciting thing about elderberries is they grow really fast. These things could get up to 10 feet tall in their first year, which is just crazy. So one of these elderberries is a black elderberry, but 2 of them are blue elderberry, which are native to the West. I got the black one just because I hadn't found the blue ones yet. I got the black elderberry for $20 and the blue elderberries were $7 each. I got them on a discount because I was at the nursery and we weren't really sure if they were alive. When I took them out of the pots, the crowns were buried and they seemed pretty rotted. So I don't really have high hopes for these, and I might need to replace them. Elderberry plants make elderflower, which is a medicinal flower that also feeds pollinators. So you can use it to make tea or that kind of thing. And then elderflower turns into elderberries, the fruit, which is also medicinal. For humans, that means you'd have to cook it and remove the seeds because they have like some cyanogenic glycosides or something like that. But the birds don't really care about that. They will love eating these. So what you're getting here is a huge plant that makes tons of flowers, prolific amount of berries. So I hope you can see why I'm super excited about these. But on top of all those benefits, elderberries also have hollow pithy stems, which is a great place for native bees to live. Next up, I'm planting a currant. This tiny little plug was $12. Currants are related to gooseberries, if you've ever tried those. This is golden currant, which is native to Utah, and it can get about 6 feet tall. They aren't my favorite berry. I've actually tried them before because we have some growing nearby. This is what it'll end up looking like once it grows bigger. I added currants because I wanted more diversity in the system. Diversity is important because different plants will bloom at different times and feed different pollinators. And same thing with the berries. Different animals are going to prefer different types of berries. So by planting a diverse range of different plants, you're giving diverse benefits to the ecosystem. And it's so crazy because I was able to plant this plug with just 3 or 4 scoops of the post hole digger. It's crazy that just a few minutes of effort can turn into a tall shrub that will bring benefits for years to come. So those were the 5 shrubs I'm growing, but I'm also really excited to grow some milkweed. If you haven't heard of milkweed, it's the only host plant for monarch butterfly larvae. They eat milkweed to become toxic to predators. And this here is showy milkweed, which is native to Utah. That means it's going to be extremely drought tolerant and well adapted to our area. I got these plants for $8 each, which is a pretty good deal. It was super hard to find these until I went to a native plant nursery. The great thing about milkweed is that it spreads through rhizomes. So even though this just looks like a tiny little stem, next year I'll have a clump of stems that will all flower and all be able to feed monarchs. And I'm super excited to hopefully see some monarch butterflies in the yard. That's my goal with these ones. The last thing I'm planting is a native grass called Sideoats grama. It's a warm season grass that is extremely drought and heat tolerant. I realized that I've been overlooking grasses in this garden area. I've planted so many types of flowers and broadleaf plants, but grasses have some unique benefits. For one, they have a very fibrous root system. Think about the roots in your lawn. It's just a very thick, matty kind of root that really holds the soil together. So I'll be using these to stabilize the hillside here and just reduce erosion and runoff. The reason I'm really excited about these is because you can split them at the crown. Once these grow big, I can dig up half the plant and put it somewhere else. And I'll basically have an endless supply of Sideoats grama grass, which is super cool. Besides those perennials, I also planted my regular vegetables in the garden. I planted tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, and some herbs. It might seem weird that I planted a bunch of tall shrubs and milkweed in the middle of my vegetable garden. But just like a lawn, vegetable gardens are relatively fragile. They require water frequently, and like I said, they need to be planted every year. So this afternoon was a small step towards phasing out the vegetable garden. I'm slowly replacing it with perennials that will have a lasting positive impact on the space. In the future, I'll be able to reduce the amount of drip irrigation here, maybe only having 1 drip line per row instead of 3. Even though this isn't a lawn, I'm still thinking about how it can use less water. But what's crazy is that even though I'm using less water, the space will be more alive than before. Small and slow solutions are the answer. You don't have to kill your whole lawn tomorrow. You don't have to find the biggest tree and plant it in your yard. Start by planting some small plugs that are super affordable and super easy to get in the ground. Planting a tree into your lawn is one of the best things you can do to help it be more sustainable, but also give it a promise of being something else in the future. Build the framework of a resilient ecosystem right into your lawn. Then when water restrictions come, you won't panic. You already have the trees established. You have shade, you have food, you have medicine. The birds, the butterflies, all the other insects have found refuge here. You know, it kind of just makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah, it gets insanely big, so it's gonna be like, yeah.
But it's gonna take like decades, right?
No, actually it's pretty fast.
But anyways, stay tuned. I probably will replace those rotted blue elderberries because they seem to be pretty dead, and I'm really set on having 3 elderberry plants. I just can't imagine having this huge wall of biomass that attracts all sorts of pollinators. It's gonna be amazing. But I'm curious which will get taller this year, the elderberries or the tomatoes. I'm hoping to grow 6-foot tall tomatoes. And something about a tiny elderberry growing 6 feet in a year just seems hard to believe. But I guess the tomatoes pull it off. Anyways, that's all. See ya.